What happens when you transcend? Welcome to 110 Talk, a forum where we elevate the discussion and anything that drives forward the discussion is on the table. This is episode number 3, and I decided to do this one a bit differently. I was thinking about content and the way that we consume content and how many different formats there are that content comes at us. And I said, this is number 3. I want to do it a little bit differently. In the video version of this, if you catch the video, there is going to be remote scenes from a rural sunset. There's going to be some scenes from a music video I have filmed but never distributed from a song called Now, as well as some other miscellaneous footage. When I was thinking about this episode of this forum, I was thinking about the types of content that I like to consume as well. Some of these audios actually exist on YouTube, and there are audio, sometimes an AI voice, and they have beautiful imagery, and they have the transcription of what is being said floating across the screen, kind of like a lyric video. Since this is still early in the development of this forum, I wanted to explore this format and make the visual images and videos that I'm including meaningful in the narrative of this content. They say that insanity is trying the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting different results. Well, in today's world, we have the tools and we have the resources and the connection to be able to switch up something if it's not working. The other thing today that happened is I noticed on the MacBook, there was an update of the operating system, and it allows me to drop voice notes into the Notes app, and it will actually transcribe it for you automatically. And I thought this is a perfect day to put together the idea for this third episode. When it comes to content in general, I was thinking about this today. What is the difference between a video, a talk show, a podcast, a social media reel or short, or even a song? I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference is distribution. That is literally the only difference. Where it's distributed, where it's syndicated, how long it is, what type of file it is. But there really is a very thin veil of differences between what categorizes content that we find on the internet and through other channels as well, since we all have these tools. Or if we don't have these tools, we need to empower by making the tools more available to people. I realize that a lot of what I do and say does not get applause, and that is okay. But I think that everybody's voice in this world has a right to be heard and deserves an opportunity to be discovered. And especially when we have a message that can help other people and we're working diligently on crafting that message and carefully considering the words of the message, I believe that there needs to be more opportunities for people to be discovered. Before we get into the main content of this episode, I want to this week discuss one news article. There's a lot of articles and news coming out this week, as there is every week. A lot of it is noise. A lot of it is not important. The one that really stuck out to me this week, and of course there's many articles about this, but is about the attacks in Iran and what is happening with that. And I am a person who admittedly does not entirely understand the conflict in the Middle East. I am humble enough to say that, and I'm unafraid to do my research. I think that access to information that is correct is very important in a world that is constantly confused by lies. And I must say that the information that I found, and some of it came through the Google AI bots and other articles I was able to discover, was very informative, and it helped me form a framework for my thinking around this topic. This article is from Reuters. I forgot how they say it. I think it's Reuters. This is an article from Reuters that says Trump faces uproar from MAGA base over possible Iran strike. The summary says MAGA supporters fear U.S. involvement in the war. Bannon says let Israel finish what they started. Trump says his backers love him. It is true that most Americans support Trump's position up until now. If you're looking at polling data, it says that Americans are overall supportive of Trump's position with Iran. And his position has basically been curbing their nuclear program. That is where all of this comes together, because my understanding is that Israel attacked Iran because of their nuclear program and their assessment that Iran was going to use this nuclear development to attack them. Where it gets tricky, of course, is the nuclear program itself. Iran says that they are developing this program for peaceful purposes only. So the first thing that I wanted to look up, because that seemed to be the key to me, where the misunderstanding lies and where the solution can be brokered, is in the peaceful use of this program. So I was double checking on the internet, and of course, nuclear technology can be used and developed peacefully for electricity, for medical applications, space exploration, industrial, agriculture, and other things. So of course, there is a ton of useful ways that countries can peacefully use nuclear power. The question becomes, where is the misunderstanding? Where is the miscommunication? And how can it be resolved? Now, I'm not going to weigh in about whether Trump should or should not be intervening in this situation. I think that is an entirely different conversation. What I want to focus on is, what could Iran provide to Israel, to the world that is concerned, but mainly Israel, who attacked them, that would satisfy them so that they could know that it was not intended for attacking purposes? What kind of transparency could they put out that would show their work in a way without giving away their trade secrets or their competitive advantage. The approach up until intervention has been about curbing the nuclear program. Maybe not cutting it off entirely, but curbing it. And I believe that the devil is always in the details. It seems that the main part of curbing the program had to do with uranium development. And I think the way that the message is delivered when we're asking for something like that matters. And I know that Iran is not the happiest with the US because of the economic sanctions that are in place. So my position on this is that this has obviously escalated to a point that is not where anybody wanted to be. And we will see how this plays out over time. I think that if Iran can find a way to ease people's fears about what they're doing this for, and people can go to the negotiating table, then there is a peaceful solution out of this. That is all that I'm going to say about this for now. And I'm going to continue reading as things develop. I want innocent lives to be spared, and I want the leaders to get together and come to a solution that has desired outcomes of peace and economic development for both sides. Okay, the focus of this episode, I've decided to do a focus for this one, is what happens when you transcend. Transcend means be or go beyond the range or limits of something abstract, typically a conceptual field or division. Surpass. It means surpass. I was trying to read you the definition, but it's like to go beyond. It really ties in with the 110 mindset that we talk about in this forum, and it's about going further than we thought we could go. And in my own life, when I started this work 2 to 3 years ago, I started the work before I started the music, but the music is when it really started to intensify. And in my first song, If and When, I have this line in there, gonna transcend. And I really meant it. I knew that it was gonna take an entire switch in my internal mindset and the way I approach my life and the work. I knew that it was not going to be easy, that it was going to come with resistance, but I decided to do that anyways. And I did not look back once I made that decision. I knew that there would be temptations, there would be moments that were tough, and there were definitely moments where I had to take a break. I had to come back to center, come back to self, remember who I am and what I'm trying to accomplish and why. And then what happens when that time is over is you get back to the actual work. And what I'm looking to do with this forum, 110 Talk, is to reach others who are on their own journeys of transcendence. Now, I know I'm going to repeal the cowards because they can't handle the truth, or they don't want to do the work, or they project their own anger at themselves for not doing the work onto other people. So I tend to repeal the cowards like bug spray. I did this first song of my new project, Dark Side of Songwriting, called Bug Disco. And it was about not wanting the annoyances, not wanting the enemy, not wanting whatever the bug is. So it's kind of like my aura repeals the cowards like bug spray, is how I like to think about it. And I believe a lot of people that I've already talked to and who are talking in this moment of time that we live in have shared and confirmed some of the things that I've been through on my own journey. So if you're in this transcendence journey right now, or maybe you haven't started it yet, but you're considering it, this is some of the things that I've learned along the way in my journey and through talking to others, listening to people, and sharing experiences. First of all, people are going to be uncomfortable with the you that is doing the work if they're not doing it. This includes standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and not only setting them, but actually enforcing them. Being unbothered despite all of the chaos that surrounds you, and non reactive to the emotional drama that they try to send your way. And being confident in yourself, knowing that your message and what you are putting out into the universe matters, and never second guessing yourself on that. And the final thing is your joy. They want to come for your joy. They don't like to see it when you're happy. But that is your birthright, to be happy and to enjoy your life and to enjoy this time on the planet and what the world provides. So they'll try to come for all of that. I think about them trying to take the joy away as trying to take the gay away, because it doesn't mean gay in the sense that it's come to mean in pop culture about sexuality. It really does have to do with your joy and your God-given birthright. The forces at play working through people, I choose to think that not any one person is evil, but that these evil forces work through people in various circumstances, and it tends to work through them and come at you when you become a threat, when they want to silence you in whatever way that comes about, especially when they can't control it. So they've tried everything to make you doubt yourself, to make you think that you're not good enough, all of those things. And they'll stack systems, they'll stack organizations, they'll stack algorithms against you to make you think that you are the problem, because we live in a world that is defined by constant results, constant validation, followers, subscribers, call to action, and they'll try to turn that stuff. You don't do it for that reason, but they'll try to turn that stuff against you, because if you don't have that, then you must not be saying things that matter. You must not be creating things that matter. And I'm here to tell you that all of that is complete bullshit. I want to put this into context of the 21st century that we find ourselves in. I've said this before, and we are still relatively new in the age of the internet. When history looks back on this moment, I believe that it will say this is the moment where things are balancing out and things are aligning, and illusions that were propped up before to control people have been pulled back. The curtain has been opened, and we see the truth in this moment. And I'm also here to tell you that if what you're creating has not reached the people that you want it to reach, you cannot give up, because those people are relying on your message. They're relying on your testimony to help them on their own path. In this world of so much being on the internet is the battleground. With so much being on the internet, they can get into any content. They can get into different channels that you watch, music that you listen to, news articles, and things that are curated based on your internet history. I keep going back to my songs, not to promote myself, but because I talk about a lot of these topics in my songs. So in my sixth song, I talk about they hate to see you calm and happy. In Siri Alexa, I'm talking about the perils of technology, which are not only disadvantages, we can reposition them into our advantages. There are so many things as I talk about these topics that I want to bring up from my songs, but make no mistake, this is not a promotion of my music in this audio, but I keep being reminded of little pieces of my songs. The enemy will try to entice you with opportunities that are beneath you. I cannot tell you the number of text messages and emails that I get about, oh, job opportunity, you look like the perfect candidate. And I'm like, girl, I am not in this market. I never submitted my information to you. I do not want a job. It's like there will be, and I'm not saying these people are the enemies necessarily, but the forces at play will try to put opportunities in your path to distract you from what you're actually doing. If they can make you settle for something that is beneath your calling, they will try, and they are relentless. They will not give up. I think of these opportunities as like a cat caught in a gold chain. And I actually put a gold chain on my cat, and he was trying to get out of it. He was poking at it. He was biting it. He was not happy, even though he looks so pretty. And I think about how the opportunities that come to us oftentimes are really like golden handcuffs. I talked about this in my song called Free Reign with Snoop Dogg. I talk about the golden handcuffs that we never want to go back to. It is like the modern day slavery to have some type of position that is nowhere near what feeds our soul and helps us fulfill purpose, but it pays the bills and it keeps us comfortably miserable. And look, there's a time and a place for all of that. I've been there. Some of you may still be going through that part of it where you're trying to save enough money to be able to set yourself up to create what you want to create and step into the opportunities that you want to step into. And I believe that those opportunities exist in a beautiful way for that purpose as transitional. I've talked before about in the article about corporate layoffs, how companies will restructure at the drop of a dime if it will improve their bottom line, and they are not loyal to employees. So employees in the marketplace are not expected to be loyal to them. So the way that I think about those opportunities that are there to pay the bills while we're transcending and stepping into transcendence is that they are good for the system because the employers need the employees need the employers for a period of time, and then it's time to move on and it's time to step into the next thing. As soon as we break out of that mindset, you can still sit real pretty on top of the chain that you've broken out of, or on top of the golden handcuffs that you've removed, looking pretty like Rio and not trapped in a cycle that you no longer want to be trapped in. In this transcendence that you might find yourself considering, you might have already done it, you might be in the middle of it, I am your ally, and I want to encourage you to use what they've tried to attack you with to break out. What are the weaknesses that they target? I've actually been publicly targeted for words that I've said in a private memo, just like this one, and sent to no one. And so what I'm doing is actually using this memo to insert it into my podcast and channel energy out into the world that I think others who are breaking free from the chains and the golden handcuffs and transcending on their own journeys, whether you're doing music, videos, YouTube, podcasting, creating a product where you're not communicating with the world, whatever it is, I want to be your ally on this journey, and I have your back in the spirit, and you can actually reach out to me as well if you think that it would be a good connection. I would love to hear from you. I'm channeling this energy, and I promise to keep it 110% real and share nuggets with you that I pick up along the way, whether it be a conversation, a video, anything that I think helps in this 110 transcendence. So in the last 2 episodes, I ended with a meditation first and then a prayer. For this one, though, I want you seeing the beautiful sunset in the background if you're watching the video. I want you to imagine the things that have held you back on your journey. This is very different for every person, and whether it's something internal that you're sorting through or whether it's external opposition, I want you to imagine all of those roadblocks, all of those obstacles, all of those resistances burning away. Imagine with the sun going down, it's going down because it burned your problems away, and now the path is clear. And I'm not doing a full meditation for this one because what I'm actually going to do is link in the forum notes a much better one that I discovered about obstacles being cleared. It uses Ganesha, and it is a fantastic meditation, and I would encourage everyone to listen to it. I'm all about cross promoting collaborations and pointing people to knowledge and resources that is good. So if you want to go through, I think it's like a 20 or 25-minute meditation. It really helps to do that imagination and visualize how that can happen in your current situation. As a consumer of information, I really don't like to feel pressured by manipulation to like, comment, subscribe, share, all of these different things that everyone in today's world asks us to do. I've done it before hesitantly, but I really don't like it when people tell me to do that. So I try to limit my calls to action like that as much as possible. And I do want to say, though, that I would love to hear your story of transcendence, whether it's something that you have not started yet and there's some things you're trying to take care of before that happens, or you're in the middle of it, or you overcame the craziest obstacles that anyone could ever imagine. I would love to hear your story. And with permission from you, I would even be open to reading it or talking with you in this forum about it. So you could email me, and that email address is paul@110dealers.com. And I would love to correspond with you, hear about your story. And with that being said, I want to wish you abundance, love, happiness, clearing of obstacles along your journey, and don't ever give up on yourself. Love and light, and God bless you.